Hi, welcome back to Fearbuster Show. I'm Lauren Rosenberg, your host. Today we're going to talk about unusual fears. I've helped in the past clients of mine with unusual fears such as holidays, fear of bananas, fear of oranges, fear of apples, fear of fairy liquids, fear of fizzy drinks, fear of stickers. But today we have a special guest who is joining us today talking about fear of bubbles. Did you know that fear of bubbles has a special name for it? It comes from the Latin ebullio, and ebullio means bubbles, boil. So the fear of bubbles has become Ebulliophobia. It means that people who are scared of bubbles or liquid becoming into a foam, like soap that becomes a foam, and we're going to talk more about it with our special guest today, don't like it, make them feeling scared. They may even avoid certain type of food or certain type of soap that could create this fear. But let's talk more about it and let's find out more about it. And welcome, Estelle. Estelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for sharing your unusual fear. How long do you think you've been having that fear? And when did you notice?
I think it was right back to when I was a child. I think as far back as I can remember, to be honest, I don't remember a time before that I ever did really like foam or bubbles.
So do you mean like when we have I remember when my children were little, I used to make a bath with foam and bubbles, and they used to have much more fun, and they used to love staying in the bath forever. So that is that when it started, or when you noticed something, or would you not go into the bath, or
I wouldn't like bubble baths. I didn't like the wipes that you would use on children, so like baby wipes.
okay, so that's
When
slightly
I was
different.
that because when nowadays the wipes are very much really simple ingredients and they're water based, but when I was a child they were very much more complicated aspects to what were involved within the wipes, I guess. So they were a lot foamier and they weren't as
Yeah.
natural as they are now.
So
So
they're
they were
more like
very
liquid.
different.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Actually, I
So
never even thought about that. But yeah, it's interesting when you have a fear, you look into so much more detail and you're so much more aware of things. But looking back, yes, I mean, many years ago, I've used baby wipes for my children, and yeah, there was sometimes some liquid or bubbles coming out of it. Now they're much more dry, and it's true. I've never even thought about that. But yes, that's correct. But did you? So did who noticed it? Who did your mum or your dad or who ever noticed it that you or you just what was your reaction? You just screamed, you refused to go in the bath or
I think from a story that a family friend has told me that they used to babysit. And to start with, they used to think it was quite funny, the fact that I didn't like the wipes, and they would chase me around the house with them. And so I think that's probably where
yes.
when they started to realize that I didn't like it at all.
So Estelle, you're actually saying something really important here. Um, Especially for me as a fear phobia expert. Chasing someone, especially before the age of 6 years old, teasing and chasing a child with what they're actually a little bit scared of will create a bigger fear and later on a phobia. And when I cleared a child who had a fear of bananas, he was actually being bullied and being chased in the playground with bananas because kids are in their lunchbox have the banana and and that created such a fear that he couldn't even go into a room where there was a fruit into whatever room it was, and that made it really bad because he couldn't really go anywhere, or he wouldn't trust any friend's house walking in seeing a football on the table, and he would just freak out. So they didn't mean it badly, they were teasing you. We don't hold anger to anyone who's done things like that, but this is the beginning of how a fear can become a phobia and stay on many years later. So that's the memory you have already about chasing them. And then what happened next? They
I
carried on
think
teasing you.
I think it's just gradually got worse as I've grown older, and I've never really dealt with it. It's just been a funny fear. Like, people still talk about it now and say, oh, are you still scared of bubbles? And it sounds like such a silly thing to be scared of. But yeah, it's just, I think, progressively just got worse as I've got older.
So could you share with our listeners, Estelle, how is that fear can interfere or affect you and make you maybe behave differently or react differently? How has that? Because it's unusual. I was looking at a statistic and I did a bit of research, and there isn't really we can't really say 1 out of X amount of people are suffering from fear of bubbles or foam. It's not really a fear that is talked about, but I have looked into it in the sense that I've realized that even watching the sea, the waves going backwards and forwards, it creates a bit of foam, and that can even create something. So would you mind sharing with our listeners, how is that fear that seems to be so irrelevant maybe has spread and affected your life in certain ways, obviously?
Exactly like you've just said. So even things like the ebb of the sea. So I'm okay with being in the sea if I'm in the sea and, not where the tide hits the beach, because even that sort of the ebb of the sea literally makes me feel sick. The idea of touching, I've obviously, there's certain things that I have to do. So sort of like washing my hair and things like that. But the boys now, I have 2 boys, and like you say, they love to be in the bath, they love to have bubble baths and all those sort of things. So for me to sort of avoid having to do those things, we find alternatives like bath bombs and bath fizzers, or fun things like that don't involve foam. But I am like fully aware that I avoid those situations and try and put other things in place, because it literally, the idea of touching foam literally makes my stomach like tighten.
So we're going to talk about the sensation in a minute, but what about as you were talking just now, I was thinking, and I don't know if our listeners was thinking the same. What about those nice cappuccino coffee? Would that have also an
No,
impact? Uh,
no, that it's like, that is something that doesn't bother me at all.
so
But
that type of
things like,
foam does not bother
no.
you. It's interesting. And so how do you wash your hair? Do you use a different shampoo that maybe doesn't foam so much, or you don't look,
It's
or?
just, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I just do it, get it done, and that's it. And I try not to, because if I literally stood there and thought about the fact of what I was doing, it would literally, I wouldn't be able to do it.
So if you did, so you wash your hair, but there's always automatically some foam. Don't think you can avoid it unless you use essential oil shampoo that may have less. But so you don't look, you just rinse the shower or the sink, wherever you wash your hair. But um, you just literally keep your eyes closed. Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Or yeah, okay. And going to the hairdresser, would that be a problem or not?
It's the sensation of it as well. So even when I'm in the hairdressers having my hair done, if I'm having my hair washed, I find it really difficult, even though I'm not actually physically touching the bubbles, the fact that they're on me, still I find it really, really hard to relax. It's the feeling of them as well, I think.
Okay. So Estelle, what would happen if you were doing washing your hair or having a bath with bubbles? What's Could you explain to listeners what's the feeling? What would happen in your mind and body? I mean, what obviously is the fear, but what would come up if you were preparing a nice bubble bath? People love it and enjoy relaxing, and that's their way of relaxing. For you, it would be the worst nightmare in that sense. How do you know that you're scared? What's the sensation, the feeling?
My heart would start to feel like it was beating faster. I get sort of a skin crawling sort of feeling, as if something's crawling on my skin, and like a really sick feeling in my stomach.
Okay. And you've had that for how many years?
Oh, since I was a child, I think.
So we're talking about just roughly
30 years.
30 years. Okay. Um, Would you mind? Would you be happy for me to try something with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Estelle, with your permission, would you mind tuning in to imagine that you could actually see those bubbles, or that bubbles were very near you? What would be the worst scenario for you? What would trigger it really badly? Not
For
too
them
bad,
to
but
sort of be touching me.
touching me. Okay. So if you did, and you're safe, you're fine, but if you did touch a bubble, or the foam would touch you, could you sort of tune into it and tell me where in your body do you feel that? If you can feel it now.
The actual sensation or the
Yes.
fear?
So if you were touching it now, if for example there was a bath and the baths were full of bubbles and foam, and you were just touching it, or the foam was touching you, where in your body would you feel it right now? So try to tune into that feeling if you can.
Okay. It's literally like making me feel sick to think about it.
Okay, so where is that feeling sick in your body? Where do you feel that feeling sick right now?
In my stomach.
In your stomach. Okay, and what color does it look like, this feeling sick in your stomach right now? If you had to pick a color, if you could, guess a color, what's that feeling like in your
Green.
green? Okay, dark green, light green,
Dark green.
dark green. Okay, and what shape does it look like, this feeling in this dark green feeling in your stomach?
Circle.
Circle. So this dark green circle feeling in your stomach. If you could pick a color that could get rid of this, what color would it be?
Yellow.
Yellow. So did you know that yellow is a color of control? So, which is subconsciously your mind is picking the color that needs to control this thing that doesn't control, that is out of control, because this is completely, it doesn't make sense. Consciously, subconsciously, there is definitely something that is programmed that's made sense, that you got scared from it. But so could you, if you would don't mind, taking a deep breath, close your eyes, and imagine that this nice yellow was like a nice little color, like a little paste going in, or if a river feels safe for you, you can see, or just a little bit of water, just see that color, that yellow going in, into your throat, down into your heart, and see it going into your stomach, and take that yellow and lift. Give yourself permission to allow the yellow to lift the green, making it light and soft. Remind yourself that you're safe. It's just a bit of color. We're just putting a color in and taking that other color out. Also, at the same time, you can say thank you to that green because it's been there for a long, long time. We don't know why, but it may have helped you in certain ways. And then just allow the yellow to go in, lifting, making it lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And you can see the yellow going even out into your legs and out of your feet. But see how much green you can let go, allowing the yellow to go in. And just remind yourself you're safe. All we're doing is just unblocking a little bit of energy that got stuck there. And we're just allowing the yellow to go in, flooding in, going in, lifting, and taking it away. And then whenever you're ready, you can just take a deep breath and just open your eyes. Thank you, Estelle. And now, thinking back about the same thought that you're thinking about, the, bubbles or foam touching you, what's that green feeling like? I know you were saying just even thinking about it make me feel sick. What's that feeling like now?
Not so bad.
You look a little bit lost. I don't know about our listeners they can't see you. You look like just like you're searching it. You
Yeah.
look like that's almost like, this is a bit weird. Like you're searching. I could see in your eyes like, I'm searching, like what's going on? Where is it? How different is it? The beginning that we did it was so intense. You said, oh, I can't even, just by thinking about it or saying it, it makes me feel sick. How different it is now?
Not as scary.
Not scary?
No.
Almost a little bit strange for you because you've had it
Yes.
for such a long time. It's yeah. So how intense would you have said before it was between 0, nothing, and 10, like, or plus 10 was so intense at
I'd
the
probably say
beginning?
about a 10.
10. And now thinking about touching bubbles or foam and foam touching you, how intense would that be now?
Probably about an 8.
8. Okay, so we got it down a little bit. Okay. Um, Obviously there's memories, and there is a link of the subconscious mind telling you that bubble baths and foam are dangerous, and there's something not quite right in it. By the way, I forgot to tell you, if you do need to yearn, just go ahead and yearn, because as we are unblocking energy block in your body, it has to come out somewhere. So very often people find that they need to yearn, or sometimes their eyes are a little bit watery. Those are the type of thing that will happen because it's just a release of energy that's been blocked in the body for a long, long time. But this is just a tiny little um, sort of sample of what can be done to and unravel and take fear out of the body. Obviously, when the fear has been there for such a long time, it will feel very strange if I was taking it away straight away for you. You will feel lost. You'll feel a bit like, I don't know what you feel without it, because you've had it for such a long time. So we have to be gentle and take it slowly, and but just reducing it. So what I just did, a little sample of what I can do, is just make it a little bit more bearable and less intense, so that it doesn't have. Obviously, we'll need to go into it deeper, and also looking into when was maybe. I mean, sometimes we don't need to, but sometimes it's important to look into the memory that created that specific event. Sometimes it could have been. It may not have anything to do with the bubble, but the firm may have been there. So you could have had a bath, and maybe another event happened at the same time. And while you were playing with bubbles, that event happened, and your mind say, okay, well, bubble equal that specific event, therefore it's dangerous, therefore I can't do that. That could be in your subconscious mind in certain ways. But we can just lift it a little bit when we unblock energy in the body. So does that feel a little bit strange that it's not so intense for you? Because I can
Yes.
see that it's like.
Yeah.
So do you want to share what does that feel like now at the moment? Because we only did it a few minutes, but what does that feel like? Just even.
It feels good to know that there's sort of ways around something that I just kind of learned to live with and deal with, and something that, even just within a few minutes has sort of made me look at it totally differently.
Yeah. So sometimes, especially when we have unusual fears, people think that they sort of label themselves a little bit, like being, okay, this is a bit odd, but it's part of me, and no one else has it, or hardly anybody has it, and therefore it's not going to go, and I'm just going to have to live with it. But no, it doesn't matter if it's a common fear of flying, or just fear of driving, or any fear of dogs, any fear, as long as it has an impact on the person and it make the person change their behavior, then I will say it needs to be addressed. Because in the long run, if you don't, it's going to increase and it's going to spread into something else. So at the beginning it could have been a fear of just the bath, just a bubble bath, then increased into watching the sea, the foam coming, which usually this is a very nice and calming effect of listening to the sea, but that would have a reaction for you. And so it's sort of like it carries on spreading unless we actually start working on it. So for anyone out there who suffer from an unusual fear, there is a solution. There's always a solution. Okay, it doesn't matter if thousand people don't have that fear. It's still a fear, and it still has the same sort of unravel and connection to the subconscious mind, and this is why you created it subconsciously. But I was saying, when did you realize that it was actually spreading to something else?
I don't really know. I don't think there's anything that I could put my finger on. Like you say, it's just anything that is kind of related to me touching foam
Mhm.
is something that I find really uncomfortable. So
that,
as I've obviously grown and there's been more opportunities for me to see foam,
yeah.
it's at those points when I've realized actually I don't like this.
So when somebody is scared of something, you have tendency of attracting it sometimes more, or you're more aware of it because you're looking at it more. It's a bit like when you drive in the morning and you can think of a specific car and model, you'll attract and you'll see more of that car, that specific model car. Then there's the same thing when we have a fear and we will try to avoid that. We will see it more. We will see more foam. And then they created liquid soap that when you press it, it becomes foam. I mean, my kids love it, but for you, it would be a big no. Yeah, at the moment, if you didn't want to carry on, and we could get rid of the sphere, but that would be a big no at the moment. So we think it's quite cool to change this liquid into foam. But yes, I can imagine that you wouldn't get that. But you said something really important, which is the sensation, the touch. So what does that do? If the feeling of touching, if you become more sensitive to touch is in anything else or just this? That
Just that.
just this. Okay. And what does that do? If that sensation, what would you describe it or say? What's the feeling to it? You said it cripples or something. What does that do to your skin?
Yeah, it makes me feel as if I've got like something crawling on my skin.
Mm-hmm.
So that idea of, like a creepy, crawly feeling, if that makes sense.
And then it gets more intense. So yeah. So when we have an unusual fear, it's a perception. It's for someone, the bubble has a definition, okay, and your definition is a different definition than somebody who didn't have the fear. They would say, "Oh, it's fun. This is just the chemicals of the soap and get the bubbles, and we just have fun and kids played in the bath." For you, it would have a completely different definition, and this is why that program just kicks in and makes you feel like that. But it's interesting the way you described it as something crawling and into your skin in a way. What do you feel now just by talking about it? You feel comfortable, or there's things do you feel something in your body?
No, if I start to think about how I would feel if I actually had to like put my hand on it, I can literally like feel the sensation in my hand as if I don't want to do it.
Okay. Could you would you want to do that just now? Would you be happy just to do a little bit of that? Thinking just to feel that sensation in your hand?
Yeah.
Okay. So Esther, just tune into that sensation in your hand, and can you tell me how intense it is and what does that feel like just by thinking about it?
It makes me cringe and it's like quite intense. So probably like 8 or 9.
Okay. So could you just take a deep breath and close your eyes and remind yourself that you're safe, that it's just a little bit of energy block, nothing else. And ask your subconscious mind, what color would I need to literally get rid of this or help that energy block to flow nicely so it's no longer blocked? What color would I need?
Can I go for yellow again?
Okay, yeah. Do we need a bright yellow, a dark yellow, a sunshine
Bright
yellow?
yellow.
Bright yellow. Okay, so see that bright yellow going in, spreading into every single finger, allowing to make it lighter and lighter and lighter, allowing the energy that is blocking the body becoming light and soft. Energy in the body is supposed to actually flow nicely in the body. Emotions are energy in motion. So if energy gets blocked in the body, it creates some fear or some pain. So what we want to do is just see that nice little color going in, lifting, making it lighter and lighter and lighter. And imagine that the actual process is happening really fast, that it's actually clearing really fast. And then notice what I feel like in your hand. You may want to shake your hand, you may need to stretch your arm. Just notice what you need to do and see the nice yellow going in, lifting, making it lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And remind yourself that you're safe. It's just a little bit of energy block. That's all it is. And then just whenever you want, you can just take a deep breath and open your eyes. And then you can share it with our listeners and tell me what I feel like.
I felt like a weird tingle. in my
Yeah.
hand.
Okay, so let me explain. That little tingle is, so I was talking about energy block. Now I'm unblocking it. So as I'm unblocking it, you will feel a little bit of tingle because they're moving out. Whatever was blocked in your hands, I'm actually just literally now dislocating, like literally like sort of unblocking it. A little bit like when you have when the water is cut off, and then you turn the tap back on. When they put the water back on, you get that big unblocking. It's like an air block, and then suddenly the water goes out. So with energy, when it gets blocked, as we unblock it, some people can feel a little bit of pin needles, because now they're more aware of the energy, and the energy is flowing out. So usually, if it's in your hand, it will flow out to your fingers. So the pin needles, how comfortable is it? Is that okay? Or usually it doesn't last for it. Just, if you shake your hands, it will just go. What's that like now?
Yeah, it was just for like a really like a subtle feeling, like
Yeah.
a
Yeah. So that means that you're responding really well, and that means that it's actually shifting and moving in that sense. So could you tune into whatever you were thinking that created this uncomfortable feeling in your hand, and tell me how intense that is now?
not as intense again.
Okay. So how intense would you say, from zero, nothing at all, to 10?
Probably a 7.
Okay. You feel a little bit like
Again,
that's
it's a
bizarre.
strange yeah, it's a weird feeling to sort of process.
Yeah. So let's just we're just going to one more thing, and then we're going to talk also about you and what you do. And but can you just take a deep breath and close your eyes, and that yellow that is helping you, could you see that yellow going into your throat, into your heart, everywhere in your body, into your hand, and then imagine it that is spreading all around you like a big bubble, almost like you. Maybe if bubble is not the right word because it may create something. So just like, just allow the yellow to go around you, like you're stepping into that nice yellow that is supporting you, and reminding your mind that the yellow is making you feel safe and supported. And then you can just take a deep breath and open your eyes. So I realized when I was saying it, I used the word bubble, but did that felt it didn't you didn't say, I mean, I didn't notice or hear you saying anything. So but I just thought, in case it did something, I just thought you don't have, it doesn't have to be a bubble. Usually kids like having a color bubble, and step into the color bubble in order to feel safe. This is something that can be done to help them having a better night's sleep, and feel safer. Colors are amazing. There's always, we can use color to heal. This is one thing that I do, but I do plenty of other technique. This is just like a little, I'm just trying to help you a little bit and shift a little something there. Obviously, in order to clear the fear, you will need some more work to be done, probably about 3 hours to clear things. I wouldn't do it in one go because it's too much, but usually what I do is like an hour over a week apart, and then do that. But how are you feeling now?
Good.
Yeah. So when you think of this fear, this unusual fear now, do you see a little different, this fear of bubbles and foam, than when we started? And how
Yes.
different it is?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely made a difference in sort of how I feel about it.
So what's the difference? What's the feeling? How do you feel?
I feel a little bit more in control
Mm-hmm. Yes.
of the fear.
Excellent. So I'm hoping that even that little bit that we just did, I'm hoping that next time when you wash your hair, it will be a bit more comfortable in that sense. But bear in mind that we haven't gone into, obviously we wouldn't do that on air, but we haven't gone into the deeper meaning and the root of the problem. We're just making you more comfortable, and also opening the subconscious mind, knowing the conscious mind and subconscious mind, to know that there is a solution. It doesn't have to stay like this forever, and that's the first step, to know that actually, you know what, if it doesn't serve me anymore, if I don't want it anymore, I can do something about it. That's really important. But the other thing that was interesting was that watching the waves would also have an impact because you're not touching it, you're actually seeing it. Because in the description of your fear, you kept on saying, if it touches me or the feeling about it, and but this is like different. You're the the sea, the waves. You don't actually, you just see it unless you actually walk in it. But just by
Yeah,
seeing it, it will be
the seeing it isn't too bad. The visual isn't too bad. It's actually like the sense of touch is the main thing.
the sense of touch. Yes, I did. Over the summer, I helped a little girl who was on holiday, and she was on holiday with another family friend, and her friend was having fun swimming in the sea, and she couldn't. She was scared of the sea, and she was scared of the fish in the sea. So she was basically sitting there watching her friend playing and swimming and having fun in the sea. So the parents asked me to get rid of the fear, and so I helped the little girl, and then afterwards. They actually even filmed it and gave me the permission to share it. Literally, you see her walking into the sea, having fun, and her friend was so excited because the friend wanted to play with her in the sea and literally having fun. And that is a sensation of just literally, once you don't have that fear anymore, you just feel like you want to scream, and just it's like such a way of freedom. Because although it doesn't affect you in a day to, well, sort of, as long as you don't wash your hair, and it doesn't, as long as you don't go, I mean, you don't really know. Every time you use a soap somewhere, you don't know if it's going to be firm or not. So that's also, it could have this impact. And at the moment, you're lucky that the hand sanitizer are not soap, they're not firm, they're just like liquid. So that's a good thing. But it's not in a, it's indirectly on a day to day, basically, subconsciously, but indirectly. So it's not affecting you so much. But it's good to know that anybody out there who has an unusual fear, um, I know how to get rid of it, but there is a way. There is a way out. You don't have to keep it forever, in that sense. So, Estelle, we talked about the fear. We talked how it's disturbing you in certain ways in the day to day life, washing hair and everything. But um, has that had an impact on your life and business, and or you just go on to with it? And I mean, people, I know you don't hide the fear. You told your friends, they know about it, so they're not going to get you some soap for Christmas or something like that. But how can you tell us, to tell to listeners a little bit more about you?
Okay, so I am a mum to my two boys, Jed and Obi, and like it kind of like I said at the beginning, impacts on those sort of things more so than from a business perspective. It's more so, in a day-to-day scenario, like you say, bathing the boys and going in the sea with them, or going to phone parties and those sort of things. But luckily, it hasn't had any impact on my work because I don't usually go to many phone parties in what I do. But I support other small business owners to up level their business, whether they're in a startup, whether they are well established and need some support within their business in social media or branding. I've been able to help hundreds of thousands of business owners in the last couple of years in using social media to grow their business. And so I'm really, really passionate in educating other business owners in what they can be doing to grow their visibility and to live happy, healthy, balanced lives. Really, it's really difficult as a mum. That's one thing that I focus a lot on. I'm a mum, so I understand the struggles. I'm very open and honest in my approach to business. It's not all sunshine and rainbows and all of those fun things. There's lots of things that you have to deal with. So we're a support community that are there to support you on lots of different levels, whether it's education, growing your business, or if you just need a little bit of personal support and someone to say they feel the same and they're there for you as well. So we help on lots of different levels.
You're right. I mean, even in being a mum, I think a lot of people may have forgotten that this is a full-time job and it's 24 hours, 7 days a week. I know I have a big family, and it is that in itself, it's And when somebody actually say, when sometimes you speak to mom and they said, oh, I don't have a career, I don't have a job. Actually, you have a 27 hours, 7 days a week job where you need to be organized, you need to be on hands, you need to be there, you're supporting everyone in the family. So you have the best job ever in that sense. And probably the hardest job because you don't have that support sometimes. So you're doing a great job. Um, and it is a busy house when you have children, especially in this pandemic at the moment. We have to learn how to adapt, how to adjust, and it's and especially I think the new next generation, they have to learn also how to adapt, and they've seen things completely differently. So especially now, what you're doing is going to be very much needed because lots of businesses are suffering, and they're going to need to adjust and to do probably more social media. And so yeah, so where can they find you? Do you have a can you say the website or your social media? Where can they get hold of you?
Yeah, of course. You can head on over to the website, which is www.immortalmonkey.co.uk, or we have various different social media channels. So you can join our Facebook support group, which if you just search Immortal Monkey on Facebook, you will find we have support communities there. Or you can head on over to Instagram and find me on my personal account, which is Estelle Keeber Official. Or you can head on over and follow the business account, which is Immortal Monkey Official, where you will find lots of tips and tricks on the sort of resources that we have to help you in your business.
Excellent. Where does the name come from?
Immortal Monkey?
Yes.
Okay, so there is I guess an idea or a theory that if you put a chimpanzee in front of a typewriter, there is the possibility that it will write Macbeth. The chances are very, very slim, but it's not zero. So I really like the fact that, if you sit there for long enough and, you bang on and you bang on and you bang on, you eventually, there is a possibility. Don't ever believe that there is not the possibility, because, there is. And that theory is called Infinity Monkey. But one of my friends has a business called Chesil Infinity. So she has, it's a charity-based business. And so I couldn't name my business kind of something similar. And so I went with Immortal in thinking, it's forever, it's like, no matter what life throws at you, you can come back, you can keep going, you've got another chance. And so we kind of merged the two and came up with Immortal Monkey. And I'm a bit cheeky as well. So the fact that we have a little monkey on there brings the fun aspect of my personality to the business as well.
It sounds good. It's I think it's also important to find that the right name for your company, and it just brings out a little bit of that curiosity. So excellent. As long as people are not scared of monkeys, then they'll look up your website. This is why I call mine Fear Busters, because that's what I do. I just bust a fear and transform people's life. And I just by noticing the difference that we just did today, this is what I love doing, and this is what that's making a difference in people's life, like you do and like I do. That is all about it. That's what makes us keeping going. And you're right. Whatever people are at the moment, there's always a way. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So, and it's an experience, and we just have to keep going. And very often when people fail or think that they fail, it's because they stop just at the time where they actually were going to really have that turnover. So yes, exactly what you're saying. Just keep going until it may take longer for some people than some others, but just keep going and you will get there. So thank you so much, Estelle, for being part of the Fearbuster show today and for sharing your unusual fear with our listeners. And we're looking forward to see how you're getting on, and hopefully managing to do things like washing your hair in an easier way, so you don't feel that fear. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, they can go onto your website. Thank you very much, and thank you to our listeners. And looking forward to seeing you next week, talking about another fear. And in the meantime, enjoy and have a good day. And if you do suffer from a fear, just know that we can get rid of it and transform your life. Bye.